Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back. I'm using a handheld mic today. Today is review day for my Sony Handycam. If you've been on my channel and you've seen the demo of this and the test, then you'll get an idea of what this thing can actually do to a certain point. We've been doing some further testing, or rather I have anyways. My wife and I both have the exact same cameras. We got a real steal of a deal on them at the local pawn shop in North Bay. We did order extra batteries, and they're got a little bit extra milliamps, not by much, but hey, a little extra never hurts. Anyways, came with a charger too, so we got two sets, one set for her, one for me, and two chargers. Way you go. Anyhow, they do last a long time. Even the stock battery, I don't know the age of the stock battery or the actual condition of it, other than to tell you that easily an hour and a half I'm getting, and I still do not crash the battery, which is actually really good. So battery life is actually really decent in this camera. Picture quality, it has several different levels, even on the high definition side. So I've run the top that it'll allow me to run. Yes, I did say allow. It does have a top level, but that requires a very high performance micro SD card to be installed, which I do not have, and I'm going to have to, because I got to know how much better the quality gets. What I can tell you is you have two types of recording. You have the MP4 as well as AVHD. And I use the AVHD because it is a larger file and it is much better quality off the take as far as I'm concerned. Besides, you can compress your videos, and I have to anyways because we have limited internet as far as we have 100 gigs a month, and it costs us about $150 a month for that on a Rocket Hub because we live in the country where we don't get DSL or Vibe or even cable internet, and the satellite internet is atrociously slow. At least the Rocket Hub is pretty quick even in the country, so pretty happy with that. Just not happy with the big bill we get all the time, but hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? So that's why my movies, even though they can be recorded in 1080p, you're going to see them in 720, is because I have to compress them to save on bandwidth. Otherwise, neither one of us would be able to put up a bunch of videos every month, let alone do our normal surfing, downloading, reinstall the OS on our computers once in a while when it has to be done, etc., etc. So anyways, back to the camera. I did a test at church, and we have a kids' play coming up, and last year we used the JVC camcorder that we've had for a long time, and it's been a great camera. We've since sold it. We were never impressed with a low light situation with that camera because it would be grainy. Even in the studio, whether it be on, when we used to live in North Bay at that place, to this. And this room has a lot lower lighting than I had in my last house we lived in. And so I needed something definitely that could handle low lighting and good quality. And this thing actually has a low light feature that really brightens things up. And I would say it removes more than 90% of the grain because you can barely see it, which is really good. Now, right now, today, I'm recording on my iMac computer using QuickTime to do this video because I wanted you to see the camera, of course. The screw system for going onto a tripod is standard, so it'll screw onto any standard tripod mount. Now, you can see and hear the display. If you push the little button here, it brings into a menu which has camera and mic setup stuff, image quality, a setup area, shooting modes, etc. You can also take pictures, little snapshots, recording video if you want to, providing you are in the lower quality end of the spectrum. Otherwise, you get video only. So if you go into setup, you get things like media info, format, repair image, file number, etc. There's a whole whack load of stuff to go through. I'm not going to go through any of this. You can read the manual online. Formatting, though, I'll show you how to format. Just click format, click to the side again, press OK. Now, even with large files that I've already recorded and I went, oh man, I screwed that video up, I got to start over again, it still only takes 12 seconds or less to reformat. So it's pretty fast on the format routine. I can really appreciate that. The other camera, if it was a big file, yeah, it would suck. Now, another thing this thing does is split files. It'll record so much and then split to the next file. Record so much, split to the next file. And I think that's kind of a neat little feature there. Now, you can also do dual recording, where you can record in AVHD and MP4 at the same time. And so you can also compare files and see which one you like the best. Or if you wanted to share the one file, it's already in an MP4. So here you go, shoot it across. It does have some neat little wireless features in it for transferring stuff. Also has USB, which is for charging the camera. If you want to use the charging system that way, which you're going to have to out of the box. And unless you have the extra cable and the USB power wall plug, otherwise you're plugging into a computer to recharge or some form of USB charging system. You can actually run the camera and record while you are charging. The manual says that when you do that, and you got to set it all up in the programming for that, when you do that, it may steal a little bit of power from the battery. And it's like, well, it's supposed to be power in the system and charging at the same time. Why would it steal power? But it doesn't. In fact, even our JVC was no different. It would do the same thing. And it's just the way technology happens to be at this point in time of the game. Now, having the built-on USB cable, although it's kind of nice and convenient in a lot of ways, it can also be a real annoyance. So always tuck it away back into the handpiece when you're done with it. I would probably say don't let it flop around all the time. And, you know, I mean, you don't have to treat this thing like glass or anything, but the one thing I find bad about a built-in USB cable is the constant flexing all the time. That will go on, and sometimes more so than not, depending on the person. And this, to me, creates a little bit of a weak point in that setup. But you also don't necessarily have to worry about that, depending on how you have things set up for transferring files. So, again, more bonuses that way. Now, because we bought external extra batteries for this thing that came with a charger, we can take the battery out of this thing, the original, and put it in that same charger. It's completely compatible, and so are the batteries. Even though these are a little bit more milliamps, they're the same fit and everything. And it was like $20-some a kit for 2 batteries and a charger on Amazon that my wife had picked up for us, and thought, wow, that's awesome. You know, like, that's just great. So now we each have our own 2 extra batteries plus the one. So that's 3 batteries. That's lots of run time for shooting with. If you know you're going to be shooting an extremely long amount of time, you might want to bring the extra batteries with you. And if you're near an area where you can actually plug the camera in and forget the whole battery idea, then I would suggest, you know, a long USB cable, like an extension USB is what you're going to need. And get close to a wall plug, and voila, away you go. And you can just run off the camera's input battery from the wall. But otherwise, yes, batteries, and away you go. Now, we bought, I believe it was 16 gig cards for these things. They're actually pretty good, and they go right in the side too, which is kind of nice. Our other camera used the full-sized SD cards. This is the micro system, and if you pull the little hatch door down here, you'll see that you've got an HDMI port to pipe it out direct to your TV or other HDMI input source, as well as the micro SD slot. So, you know, you don't even have to use the cable. You could just take the micro SD card out and slam it into the little, you know, larger reader piece and into your computer, and away you go, and transfer your files that way, which will save you a lot of wear and tear on that external built-in USB cable. So one way or another, you have a backup system that works. So if this cable ever fails you, then you're okay to just take that card in and out. It's not a big deal. even with the battery in there and the power on. It does not disrupt anything or short anything out, so it's okay. Now, your lens cover is manual. Some people actually have crabbed about this. I actually like a manual lens cover, to be honest, because then this way, no motor gear driven system that if one day it did fail, yeah, you're not keeping that lens open. At least with a manual, yep, one way or another, that sucker's going to open up and stay open so I can do my stuff. 2 stereo mics. This thing has zoom microphone. That allows you to bring the audio source up closer. Now, in my test in the church, with extreme low lighting compared to this room, the way things were set up, it did an awesome job of the video, and the audio was pulled up so well. I was like, wow. I mean, these kids aren't even using microphones. The PA system in the church wasn't even turned on, and you'd swear because it was so clear and loud that, I mean, it's just like amazing. So it's going to be like kind of cool once they actually do the play in December with all the sound system and that going through, that I may have to actually turn down the audio a little bit, you know, otherwise it'll be like blasting. Because we do post those videos on YouTube, or at least my wife does on her channel. But you've got your zoom control up top, your little snapshot button at the back here at the side, which is your normal common side for a record button. It's right here, you know, and when it's in your hand, you can easily rock back and forth. 60 times zoom. This thing is about like 9 point something megapixel. So it's still a good upgrade from what we had. It's not 4K, but you know, with that ultra high def setting that I can't get to because of a lack of a slow card right now. Well, it says it's slow. I mean, I'm like, wow, that's got some super high transfer rates, but not fast enough apparently to run the super level of this thing. It's pretty close to about a 4K quality almost. So I can't wait to try that out. So I got to order a new SD card in that's actually got the snot in it to actually allow me to turn that feature in the camera on. Because, man, I can't wait to see what that looks like. But very easy to use. I mean, you actually literally, to be honest, if you just screw around with the menus and you know, read through your menu choices, you don't even need this manual. Like, seriously. The only thing we needed out of that is to find out if you could actually run the camera off USB coming from a wall plug and record at the same time. There's also I've got mine set up to auto detect. Now, what I mean by that is when you open up the cover on the side, the screen, and you want to dump your files onto the computer, as soon as you open it up, you plug the cable in, it automatically says, oh, okay, you want to transfer data to the comp? Boom. It puts it there. And, you know, our other one, you had to go, yes, okay, yes, you know, and then it would do it. So it's like, well, whatever, this thing works so much better. I like that, you know. And like I said, lots of features in this camera to go through. I'm not even going to bother going through them in the video here because there's just too many and too much time to take. But I will say this. If you really are looking for a budget-priced but very high quality and really, I mean, video, audio-wise, etc., I would take a look at this particular Sony, even on the used market. You can't buy them brand new anymore unless somebody's got leftover stock somewhere on the net. So if you get lucky there, give her. If not, find yourself a used one. We paid, what is it, about 120-something Canadian dollars each for them. And I think that was a really good deal because we had actually looked at these exact units or close to them anyways a couple of years ago, and it was like, oh, built-in USB cable, I hate that. That's got to be a downside, you know, because of, you know, in and out, wear, tear, and blah, blah, blah. I like to have a separate cable. If I wear out the cable, who cares? But then again, you know what? Eventually you're going to wear out that connector in the camera. So either way, it really doesn't matter in the end if it's a built-in cable or if you're using an external cable. You could wear out a cable and a connector, and then you're really yanked. Or you can just wear out a cable and you are not yanked. You know what I mean? So one way or another, it's a win-win, and if something fails, there's a backup source to get your stuff off the camera, so it's great. But anyways, all in all, I would have to give this thing a complete and total rating of an easy 4.5 out of 5. I've only, the fault is nothing's perfect, okay? And this USB cable thing that is built in, that would be my other pet peeve. I don't like that sort of system because I know it will wear out faster than a cable and a connector will on a regular camcorder that doesn't have this built-in cable thing. But depending on how things are used, of course, it can last as long or longer, but it depends on how you do things. Me, I always take it out, plug it into my cable, into my computer, it goes. I don't want to finagle around with pulling that micro SD card in and out all the time either, and going to a little junction connector to get it into my card reader. So it's kind of like, well, I'll just use the cable. But anyways, great camera, great price for a used price. Couldn't have asked for a better rate at this point in time, especially for the affordability side of things. I would have loved to get one of the, like a nice 4K DSLR camera or something, but I don't need 4K. That's the thing. And 4K, I've looked at videos of 4K, and it looks so real, it's almost looking fake. It's just way too crisp and clear, and it's just like, and a lot of technology still is not up to snuff on 4K yet anyways, but some is, which is fine, but I don't need the 4K. I'm good with this, and I'm sure this camera will last me a couple of years, and then I'll get another one, and the next one, well, maybe it'll be a DSLR or something else, or maybe it'll be another higher-end or camcorder style like this, because I love camcorders, not just because they look cool, but also for the fact of holding it in your hand the way you do. It's very lightweight, small. You still get plenty of runtime out of the battery and the memory cards, et cetera, right? And for the kind of videos that I do, these kind of camcorders are very practical for that, where something maybe super higher end wouldn't be so practical, or maybe it could be, but it's also about, where's my budget sitting, and, can I still pull off killer videos with something like this? Yes, because even in low light, I'm killing it now. It's great picture, great audio. I have no complaints. That low light feature is so nice. And this is such a huge upgrade from the one that we had originally. So I'm quite happy with that. And I'm sure, you folks will be too as you watch future videos that get recorded with this particular camcorder. And there you go. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think. And like I said, if you want to know more about it, just download the manual. The name of the camera is an HDR CX405. Now, there's also a CX440, a PJ410, and a PJ440, which all use the same manual, of course. So they're very similar to each other for cameras. I don't know what the big differences are. But anyways, do check it out, download the manual, and read up on it and all the features and whatnot, and see if this is something that'll suit you, and if it does, cool. If it doesn't, well, shop for something even better. That's kind of the way I roll, but anyways, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Ciao for now.